is held by the society.
Right, so after holding the position of Chief Executive Officer of Electoral Body IEBC in an acting capacity for close to 4 years, Hussein Marjan now substantively assumes the position for a 5-year term after trouncing 5 other candidates shortlisted for the job from 511 applicants. On his first televised interview since assuming the position, Marjan spoke exclusively to our reporter Murimi Mwangi on his expectations for the job and key assignments on his entry ahead of the August 9th polls.
For close to 4 years, the position of Chief Executive Officer of the Constitution's arguably most important constitutional commission, Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, has been without a substantive holder. The man that has been on that seat since the exit of former CEO Ezra Chiloba has been Hussein Marjan. And interestingly, as fate would have it, he is now the man substantively holding that position for the next 5 years. At 54 years of age, having worked within the corporate world and for some time at the IEBC, he now takes over that mandate of steering the Commission's arguably most critical phase in the run-up to the August 9th, 2022 general election. We speak to the new IEBC CEO, Mr. Hussein Marjan. Now, you were one of the 511 initial applicants for this position, was finally one of the 5 shortlisted applicants. Why did you apply for this position?
First of all, I must say that when the advertisement was made, I was also out of the country. But when I came back, already some days had already gone, and there was too much on my tray, and therefore I hardly actually got time to prepare myself in terms of putting together the papers required for that job. So I had to spend a lot of time, but also sought for support from my colleagues to get clearances, because I could not be able to do it because of virtue of my responsibilities. So the reason why I decided to put my application is because, as you know, I've actually worked for over 4 years as the acting CEO. And I thought with that kind of experience, I was ready for the job.
Now, in all the controversies that have surrounded this job, there have been questions on the cleanliness or the sanctity of the procurement process, and it's always appeared to have been a question of the process leading up to that procurement, or the likelihood of holders of office in this commission being influenced to, steer the procurement in a certain direction. Is your application for this position about the billions that you're now going to control as the commission CEO?
Not necessarily. This is a calling. It's a job that very few people would like to have, but somebody has to do it. Our nation needs people of credibility. People with big heart who can be able to come and save this country from falling down. So I see it as an opportunity. I don't see it as a challenge. I know my other predecessors had challenges, and they were probably removed out of office in a very acrimonious manner. But we also learn from the mistakes that were actually done. When you, from the way you spoke, it is as if the main challenges were basically related to procurement. And when you do post-election evaluation, we basically try to understand what really went wrong and what are the things that we did well. So we knew actually procurement was one of our biggest challenges. And we put a lot of measures in place to ensure that those challenges do not happen again, including strengthening systems, having policies and procedures, automating some of the processes. And I can tell you, and I can tell the whole country, that our processes are above board. And I don't expect any challenge as far as what my predecessors faced. I'm confident, and I want to tell the country that as a commission, we are confident and we will deliver the next general election credibly.
We are in the final stages in the run-up to the August 9th general election. What would you describe as the most critical aspects of your entry as the new IEBC CEO?
Election is a process. It's not an event. And there are so many processes that culminates into the final stage of actually going to cast the ballot. where we are actually, the most critical thing that I'm currently steering is the development of the register of voters. You are aware that we just came from the second enhanced continuous voter registration, and we managed to get 2.5 million. So my main challenge is to ensure that those voters are actually incorporated. They are enlisted in amongst the 19.6 million that we had in 2017. So that will be my first task, to consolidate that register and then to allow that register to be audited for the purpose of credibility. Because we must assure the country that the register of voters is credible. That is my first assignment. Then after that is to allow voters to verify their details, and in accordance with the law that is supposed to be done for that.
Again, speaking of critical processes leading up to this election, there are two aspects of the August 9th general election that are in contestation now, and that's to do with the procurement of the Kenya Integrated Management System as well as the ballot papers printing tender. How do you take that challenge, and how do you intend to navigate out of the likelihood of that derailing the timelines to the August 9th general election?
First of all, you must understand that there is no institution, organization that cannot work without having challenges, because there are environmental challenges that affect it, and therefore it depends on how it responds to those environmental challenges. And there could be external, but there also could be internal factors that can affect the commission. So we anticipated that there are going to be court orders or challenges in relation to big tenders, in particular the ones you've talked about, that is the technology and ballot papers. And that is why we started our procurement very, very early. And we believe, and I want to assure Kenyans that the process that we went through to secure those big tenders were above board. And even for the purpose of maybe for the country to know is that when we were taken to court, there were no orders stopping us. So we've gone ahead, we've signed the contract, we're already working, and therefore want to assure Kenyans that we are ready. We are committed to delivering credible election comes 9th August 2022.
In the current legal regime, particularly in the onset of the 2010 Constitution, there is a lot of attention on the technological aspect of result transmission. And this has been a constant question in the courts. Of course, even in 2017, there were contestations about finality of results at the constituency. And just recently, the Commission decried what it claimed to be the failure by Parliament to come up with legislations that are supposed to enhance there being complementary result transmission mechanism. Of course, that's to assist with the verifiability and accuracy of the result declaration, particularly for the presidency. How do you intend to navigate that? What is the methodology of the Commission in doing that under your tenure and for the purpose of the upcoming general election?
I want to assure you that, first of all, the will of the people is inside the ballot box. It is not in the results transmission. I think we are focusing our attention in wrong areas. If you noticed, in 2017, we had around 303 election petition, including the presidential petition. How many petitions did we win? 299. It tells you that for those who are actually validating the results by opening the ballot box, they were able to see the true picture of what really happened. Now, results transmission was to provide, is one of the methods we are using to provide transparency, so that people can be able to see what really is happening before the final results is announced. What happened can happen to any technology. There's no technology that can work 100%, especially during such magnitude where we have got all activities consolidated in one day. But yes, you are right. We've learned from those lessons, and we are trying to amend some of the laws to provide some avenue in which the Commission can be able to sort out those issues as they happen. And you said rightly, one of the things is to have complementary methods of doing the same. But what I can tell you is that even without those amendments, already the Supreme Court asserted itself. And they said that the results is what is contained in the results form. Which means, for example, for the purpose of presidential election, the result is what is contained in the Form 34A. So this Form 34A is what we are going to transmit as a result. And remember also, physically, the results will be after they have been declared, because the results declared at the polling, announced at the polling station is final. They will be taken to every agent will actually have witnessed that, they will have signed, they'll get a copy. And the original is going to be taken to the Constituent Tallying Center. Based on the originals, we are going to consolidate and come up with Form 34B, which is a consolidation of all the polling stations in that particular constituency. And then now, those originals of the Form 34As, together with the Form 34B, which has consolidated them, will be taken to the National Tallying Center. And the National Tallying Center will also will be able to prepare now Form 34C. And this Form 34C will also now confirm them with all the Form 34As we've received from all the polling stations. We will actually be verifying what has been transmitted, because the presiding officer at the polling station will transmit the results directly to the National Tallying Center as well as to the constituency. They will also deliver the physical copy of the results at the constituency tallying center. So there will be verifiability and accountability at each and every process, and there will be handover and takeover. This will actually assure Kenyans verifiability of the results, and every process is going to be above board. So, and this is precisely what we did also during the first presidential election. We want to repeat the same, because we learned from that lesson. And we want to, over and above that, we also address the issues of challenges that we had of ensuring that our servers have got capacity to handle transactions, and everybody can be able to access the results.
It's interesting that you've mentioned about the servers. It was at the center of the 2017 controversy when you could not open the servers despite there being an order from the Supreme Court. And that was, in a way, part of what influenced the ultimate decision to nullify President Uhuru Kenyatta's re-election. Do we still have those servers in France?
No. No, actually, you should know the background behind that. When we were preparing for the elections, we had actually tried to source for hardwares, and those hardwares were actually being brought from abroad by the so-called supplier that we had given contract. So they actually delayed, and we are talking about server space here. And therefore, the alternative was basically to, now for the purpose of resource transmission, was to actually store the information in cloud. Because in cloud computing, there are many services that are being provided. The infrastructure of that cloud is actually what was in France, but the services actually are being provided here. So you can store your applications there, you can store your results there. But for now, I can say we are ready. There are also laws that governs data protection. For example, certain information cannot go outside the country. And the Commission is committed to ensuring that it actually adheres to those laws, in particular Data Protection Act and attendant regulations. But in the fresh presidential election, the infrastructure was there, it was ready, and everybody was given access at the National Tallying Center. So it is something that is not going to happen again.
There have been controversies about how your predecessors have vacated office, the past two CEOs. And there have been questions about procurement processes, in some instances, allegations of graft. What lessons can you pick from what they have encountered and the processes leading to their exit? And what potential landmines do you foresee for yourself as you steer the ship of the IEBC through this upcoming general election, particularly in terms of that procurement aspect?
Invariably, any major tender will basically attract a lot of interest. So, and therefore, you must be aware that wherever there are interests, you must also be careful in terms of you do the work. So the first thing we did basically is to make sure that our procurement process streamlined. Like I said, we developed policies and procedures manual so that each and every committee member is aware in terms of what they're supposed to do. That actually puts our processes above board, because when you are taken to court, it is the process that are going to be challenged. And I can tell you for sure, these procurement challenges that we faced, we were taken to Public Procurement Review Board, but we actually managed to go through them. We were taken to High Court. We actually managed to go through them. So it actually tells you that our process is above board. And why our process is above board? Because we have streamlined the process. And we have educated and trained our staff and empowered them so they're in a position to deliver on their tasks credibly.
In the controversies that particularly dogged this commission for the purpose of the 2017 election was the cooperation, the collaboration between the Secretariat and the Commission. And there were times when certain commissioners could not see eye to eye with the IEBC chair, and at other times the IEBC Commission chair could not see eye to eye with the CEO. What is your relationship with the IEBC chairman, Wafula Chebukati?
I must say we have got a very good relationship with the chairman. One is because after the nullification of the presidential results in 2017, he gave me an opportunity to lead the team that oversaw the fresh presidential election, and I delivered the same successfully. And I must say it's because of the kind of work that I've done that he gave me an opportunity to also act as the Chief Executive Officer. Working with the Commission is working on a tightrope, but it is my responsibility to consolidate and gain their commitment and support. And this is one of the few things that I want to do, because also I recognize that we have got 3 commissioners who are old. That basically includes the chairman. I've got 4 new ones. So my role will be to ensure that I consolidate and get their support and commitment. It is my role. You can say it is both ways, but I see them as my bosses, and therefore I must work with them to ensure that we deliver the election credibly. So I'll be seeking for that as one of my challenges.
The job that you hold is one that is at the center of a national spotlight, particularly by the politicians who are critical stakeholders to the work you do here at the IEBC. How do you intend to deal with the overtures from politicians that have an interest in the election process? How do you deal with the requests for them to meet you, particularly when the presumption is they want to attempt to influence the processes of the commission, or even you as an individual to pander to certain political inclinations?
I will not lie to say probably I will not be asked, maybe because it's a challenge I'm going to face, to go and see so and so, maybe they want to see me. But I think what I will do personally is if somebody wants to invite me, I'll ask them to come and see me in my office. Because it's a public office, anybody is allowed to come and see me. And I have a right to tell them what I think is the right thing to do. And therefore, I want to assure Kenyans, because this is very, very important, that my role is very, 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 very critical role that I'm playing. And therefore, I want to be and be seen to be political neutral. I think in the last 4 years I've demonstrated that. I was acting, and at no point it has been demonstrated that this person belongs to this political party. There was an attempt if you remember, in 2017 when they said I'm a sympathizer of certain political party. And that political party also said, no, this is not our person, it's actually a person. So that tells you that I'm actually neutral. And I want to continue that way, because Kenyans want somebody who is leading this role as the head of the Secretariat to be neutral, to deliver credible elections comes 9th August 2022.
Are you a member of any political party? Do you have political affiliation? And for the purpose of the election on August 9th, do you intend to cast your ballot?
This work that I'm doing, even if you wanted to be a member of a political party, you will be placed on one political party or the other. So the best thing is to back off from that, so that you present yourself as a neutral person, because you are going to be a referee. And people want you to be and be seen to be independent. And therefore, I do not belong to any political parties.
Part of the concern for Kenyans and critical stakeholders to the upcoming general election is on the question of the sanctity of the voters' register. Why has the cleanup not yet been done? And what are you doing to ensure that you have that done in time, the 60 days timeline to the general election?
The law requires that the register should be ready 60 days before election, rather 2 months before the election. So I can say we have approximately maybe 2 3/4 of a month or something like that to basically be able to deliver on the register. So first of all, we are already in the final stages of recruiting a consultant, an audit firm, to do the audit of the cleanup of the register. Remember, if we have compiled the register, it is the responsibility now of the audit to check and see if there are any dead voters in our register, and they are going to compare that with the National Registration Bureau and also Register of Birth and Deaths. And once we're able to identify those ones, we'll remove them from the register of voter. And then from there now, the register will be ready for the purpose of verification. If there are going to be any recommendation from the audit firm requiring us to address to make the register credible, we'll implement it within a reasonable time as expected by the law. So that is where we are. In fact, we are now finalizing on the firm that is supposed to do the audit, and we have already started the consolidation of the register of voters. Because it's a process, you need to take each record through 19.6 million records that are existing in the system to ensure that there is no duplication in terms of biometrics. And that will give us a unique voters roll. So it's ongoing, and we expect to complete it within time.
Mr. Marjan, Hussein Marjan, what would be your parting shot to Kenyans out there as they await the August 9th polls?
I want to thank, first of all, the Commission for having given me this opportunity, because I'm not trying. It is something that I've done. And therefore, for me, I want to assure Kenyans of my commitment to delivering transparent, efficient, and inclusive election comes 9th August 2022. Let them relax. We are in control, and we deliver a credible, free, and fair election.
Bwana CEO, thank you so much for your time. Has been Marjan Hussein Marjan, the CEO for the IEBC. He will be holding that position for the next 5 years and will certainly be the man on the wheel for the purpose of the upcoming general election, expected to work closely with the Wafula Chebukati-chaired commission to deliver free and fair elections on the 9th of August.